Hey Z31 guys, this is going to be a delete rundown that I've done to my car so far. It's an 87 turbo, it wasn't automatic, I've just started to convert it. Okay, so first thing I did was got rid of I believe that was the idle up feature on the car, so it would idle up for air conditioning. You can get rid of the air conditioning unless you want it. Once you get rid of that, you can get rid of all of the plumbing and stuff like that. Make sure that you get it drained at a shop so that you don't just blast it into the old atmosphere. We don't want that. But once you get that out, you can take out all of the hosing that goes with it and the little radiator it came with, or heat exchanger, whatever you want to call them. You can get rid of the cruise control if you feel like you want to get rid of that. That used to sit right here. It would have a wire and it used to sit over there. You can get rid of that. You can get rid of almost all the vacuum lines on the engine. The only three that I have are this one and this one for the fuel pressure regulator. Pretty sure that this guy is for your tachometer to work. If you have the digital dash, it'll do its thing. And this one. That one might be the tach, I'm not sure which, but you only need these three, really, to have a working gauge cluster and a working car. You can get rid of everything else if you also want to get rid of heat. Speaking of that, you can get rid of, if you want to delete it, you can get rid of the vacuum pump, because all it does is run your climate and your cruise control, and there might be something else, somebody might correct me. And then you can get rid of all those lines that used to go into here. I have mine plugged off with some just miscellaneous plugs I found laying around. And you can get rid of, once you have all that, you can get rid of, there used to be a bunch of hard lines that used to run under here, I think. It's been a while since I deleted them. But after that, after you get rid of the vacuum pump, you can get rid of all that. Another thing that used to sit here was a charcoal canister. So it was black, it sat right around here or somewhere around here, and it would have the fuel vent line, which I have going into my wheel well. That's right here, fuel vent. And you can get rid of everything coming out of the charcoal canister. And then you can get rid of, another nice thing you can do is you can loop the coolant lines from the turbo. So these lines here, those are coolant lines. I went and got some new line, and if you follow them, it's easier with the plenum off. You got to take the plenum off to do it properly. But you'll find the inlet and outlet for the turbo coolant. So there is one of them. You can kind of see it in there. And then on the other side, I have it right here, and it's going to go onto that guy in there. You can just barely see it. So you can loop your turbo coolant lines. Then after that, what else can you can get rid of the power steering. I got rid of mine because I don't really need it. If you want to drift, or if you have little chicken arms, you probably want to keep it. But you can get rid of that. All you have to do is follow a write-up. I found, if you Google delete power steering or something like that, you'll find a good write-up. I believe it was Red Z31, but it involves taking out your steering rack and taking it fully apart and then cutting a section outside the inside of the rack. I have no issues with the no power steering. It's not a big deal. It feels like a muscle car now. Best thing you can do is an electric fan. You get so much more real estate without all this stupid shroud and this stupid frickin' fan just whirring around, making a bunch of crappy sound. Best way to do that is to get a fan controller. Guy got that off a good old Rock Auto. So all you have to do, fan controllers are pretty simple to wire. They come with instructions. Everybody says you have to find a specific fan. You don't. All you need to do is bring a tape measure to the junkyard, measure your radiator, and then remember or write it down, and then you can go ahead and find one that's suitable. Make sure it sits on the same side though. You want one that's on the inside so you know that it's a pull type radiator fan. So you want it to pull the air through, not to push air. Otherwise, you won't get any. You'll obviously push hot air through your radiator, and that would be no good. So if you get rid of the air conditioning and power steering, you're only left with your one belt for your alternator and your water pump. So that's pretty sweet. Makes it a little more simple and gives you more room. You can also get rid of the stock airbox situation. Now everybody complains and says you'll start sucking in hot air, so for all those guys, build yourself a little shroud. I have it cut. It's not pretty, but I have it cut in there, so it does the exact same thing as it does from the stock. So the stock pulls the air from the headlight bucket, so does this one. All you got to do is bend yourself and do a little bit of welding, and you can build yourself a nice shroud, and and it works good. Let's see, what else can you delete? You can delete the AIV, so that's the air induction whatever valve probably, but it used to be this big old thingy that sat right here, and it was this pipe, and it shot down through there and went down into the exhaust, which I have taken off right now. It went down into the exhaust. So if you take that pipe, chop it off, plug the hole, then you can delete that and everything that's attached to it. It's just some more useless emissions technology that nobody really likes. Okay, on this side of the plenum, you can get rid of the EGR. That is the main thing to get rid of because you don't want to. Well, you don't eat your own shit, so why would you make your car do that? So you need to weld off this piece, or you can just take the bung and you can weld that, fill it somehow, put it in. You need a block off plate for that. And I believe that one was a cold start. This is a summer car, so I don't really need that anymore. I'm deciding to run a breather instead of a hose into the plenum. As long as you have, this is the negative pressure side, I believe, or something. Well, as long as you have the hose running through there, so that one's positive pressure, and it'll allow both sides to breathe if you have this one hooked up. And this side can just be a breather. I'm gonna see how messy it gets. I may put a catch can in. Yeah, and then this was a coolant line that if you loop your turbo lines, you don't need that anymore. Used to be going through there. You can get rid of this if you find an NA car, or if you just go get a 1-inch or whatever bung plug that you need. That is a pop-off valve. You can keep it on if you want, but I imagine they're 30-year-old springs. They probably open up sooner than they used to. It's your call if you want to get rid of that. I'm installing a good boost gauge, so I don't really feel the need for it. Yeah, so once you have all your deletes done on your plenum, the only things you should really have are a ground and your throttle cable. So it's really nothing you have to leave on there. Oh, and also this one for your fuel pressure regulator. So you can make the plenum basically bare, which is really nice for when you have to take it on and off. And your car just runs better after taking off all that old crap that may or may not work. So that's pretty much what it'll look like after you get your AIV off. If you don't have a Digi Dash, you can probably do away with this little guy here. I think that's a sensor for making the Digi Dash work with your boost gauges. And you obviously get way more room without the fan and the fan shroud. Yeah, so that's the delete rundown I have on my Z. I may have missed something, but that's the main things you can get are off of the plenum and the AIV. Anything past that is pretty much up to the owner. But yeah, there you go.